Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, and this is just pretty much a chronicle of some of the towns I'm going to be passing in as I go into Bloomington-Normal. Alright, so now I'm in Chenoa, Illinois. This is the intersection of US Highway 24 and Route 66. There's a little park here. I'll show you a couple other things in this community as we go down Old Route 66. Come join. Okay, so again, this is the intersection. US 24 goes all the way to Detroit, Michigan, or somewhere on the outskirts, and it goes all the way to Colorado in the mountains. Come explore. And then over there is Interstate 55. So you're not too far from the interstate. And then here is that sign that you're in Chenoa. So there is no real parking lot here, but you can just park on the side. They have a off parking ramp. That, I believe, is... I think it's just historical information. Okay, yeah. And just a picnic bench, and this is the old roadbed that I'm standing on. But yeah, really cool. Next up is the town of Lexington, Illinois, just down the road. And there's probably not a few things to check out. I will take you down memory lane. I'll show you more about that. But here is the brand new sign that's been put up since the last time I was here a few years ago. And behind it is Uncle Vate's on 66. I think it used to be a place called Kelly's, well, when I was here in 2020. And next to it is this photo op. I guess they want kids or whoever to sit at the... Okay, yeah, they have a sitting area where you can move this wheel. Oh, hello. A little rusty there, literally. But Uncle Vate's does not look like it's open. Hasn't really changed much besides the name. I know it looks like it's got a new mural, which I can hardly see. But it's still got its license plates, from what I remember. Here's a really nice phone booth. Retro. Well, you can go in it too. I doubt the phone works, but yeah. Okay, so 1957. Here's another sign for you. Let me see what it says in the back. Yeah, former gasoline stations along historic Route 66 in Memory Lane that once served cross-country travelers as they passed through Lexington. And it does have the lanes put out, like this is the 1946 version, and behind me is the old 1926. Very nice. And this is what they call the elephant on Route 66. If I want to learn more, I'll just scan the barcode or QR code. Wow. It's scary looking, but I also got to give credit to the creativeness of the sculpture. And then a little tree stump here. And it's quite a windy day. And the last time I was here, there was a historical marker. I believe it was right there. This was all well decked out right here. But it was by the Illinois State Historical Society. It was put up in 1996. Yeah, 30 years ago. But it didn't really, it pretty much just said it was a comprehensive history of the road, and it's gone. I don't know if they're going to replace it or put something else there or put another historical marker there. So that's one big major change since the last time I was here in Lexington. Now we're going to go across the street, and this here is the Lexington neon sign. If you want to learn more about it, there's another QR code. I'm glad that the city or village or whatever is putting something up, you know, to mark its history, especially for those who are traveling from all around. But yeah, I mean, this baby apparently lights up at night. And then behind it is the Thrift Avenue. It has Route 66 merchandise, antiques, furniture, architectural salvage, but unfortunately it doesn't look like it's open today. Yeah, story of my life. And one thing I forgot to mention is parts of the old roadbed of Route 66 are now a bike trail. So if you do live in this community, you can also, you know, ride your bike or jog or walk. But it is also called the Ollie and Dorothy Myers Walkway. Not sure who they are, but I'm sure they're somebody important. But if you walk a little farther, you'll see parts of the old roadbed. Just like we did in Pontiac. Awesome. Okay, so now we're gonna go backtrack a little bit and take you on Memory Lane. Okay, so this is what is known as Memory Lane. This original section of Historic 66 was dedicated in 1926. It is open to drive on during Lexington's annual Route 66 reunion, and we invite you to stroll on down. All right, we're going to see a lot of retro billboards here. Okay, there really wasn't much to see as it looked like all the billboards were taken down. But now we're in town. But before leaving, I found this really old building. Obviously, it looks so old and rusty and neglected, I just had to check it out. Yeah, this definitely used to be an old ice cream place because there's a rusted sign of the ice cream. Wow. I hope people did get to check this out. But yeah. And just about X miles down the road is Towanda, Illinois. And this one's kind of interesting. I'm going to show you Dead Man's Curve. But I think the one thing that this town spotlights Route 66 on is the trail, which is just right in front of me. I'll show you that in a sec. Oh, there's also a guest registry. Okay. Oh my gosh. But as I mentioned in my previous video, this is not really the old route. That's it right there. But where I was getting at was, this is a bike trail, or walking and jogging, and there's a lot of historical markers on here, including this one. Now that is a gas station, but it's not a truck stop, it doesn't look like, at least, but it talks about a lot of old businesses that were on this road, and there are a few more of these in this town, which I think is really cool because, yeah, I mean, not many towns, you know, talk about their history, but since this is on a very historic road that a lot of people care about. But yeah, that was once the Delco truck stop, a historic landmark that opened in 1952, and then it changed its name 3 years later to the Pure Oil Truck Stop. It was a restaurant and a gas station. They gave you lunch specials for $1.20 and a bottomless cup of coffee for a nickel. There was sleeping quarters available for 75 cents a night for truckers who fueled at the truck stop. And then 1976, due to interstate highway site requirements and sewage treatment regulations, this facility closed its doors. But it'll always be remembered. Now, I remember this was here last time I was here, the U.S. map, and this is old Route 66. I was here 5 years ago, and I had only traveled the Illinois portion. But of course, since then, in all my videos, for those who follow this channel, I've done the whole entirety of the Route 66. Now they've added these waymarking signs since I was here, which I think is cool. So a lot of them are Route 66 towns, but places like Bangor, Maine, sorry, is not on Route 66. Neither is Seattle or DC or Burlington, Vermont, or New Orleans. But for those who are wanting to go to Galena, Kansas, it's 469 miles. Oklahoma City, 670 miles. Wow. And then Santa Monica, 2018 miles. Winslow, standing on the corner. And St. Louis is 173 miles. I mean, I can go on. And this is just historical signage. This is not one of those Hampton Hotels markers, but the Illinois Route 66 Association put these markers up years ago. But it says here that Towanda, Illinois Route 66 Parkway stretches 1 mile in front of you and 2.5 miles behind you. You are standing on the 1954 alignment of Route 66. The original 1926 two-lane Route 66 is behind you and to the right, and just up this road and to the right along with Dead Man's Curve. This exhibit was created by students and teachers from nearby Normal Community High School and Illinois State University, along with volunteers from the Towanda community. Boy, it's windy outside. I'm not going to walk this entire trail. One of these days I'd like to. I mean, it's not that long, but I just don't have enough time today. But you'll be seeing a lot of these boards with that makes tribute to all the states that were on Route 66. That's Illinois, of course, Missouri, Kansas, and so forth. And if you want, you can take a brochure with you. I already have one. That's like 5 years old. And if you go across the street, now that is the exit to Highway Interstate 55, which of course bypassed Route 66. They don't have those signs, you know, the ones that have the community's letters and big letters, but why, I don't know. Maybe they will eventually. But the trail continues up that way all the way up to Lexington and Chenoa. But we're going to check out that road bed that's just right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you Dead Man's Curve, which is that right there. And then I'm going to read off this sign. It says here, you are standing on the pavement of the old original Route 66 that was commissioned in 1926. The width of the original hard road was only 16 feet wide and constructed from Portland cement. The road immediately in front of you is the upgraded Route 66 known as the 1954 alignment. 3.5 miles of the original southbound lanes of this alignment have been preserved and converted into the linear parkway. You can learn more about the parkway by going to the flagpoles ahead of you. Dead Man's Curve is located directly to the right of you across the road. And it says that Interstate 55 was constructed in 1977. But yeah, I'm going to take a moment and stand on this cement and what people drove on to get to California or out west. Ain't that something? And then you can also travel on this really old portion of 66. And this is what is known as Dead Man's Curve. And no, I'm not talking about the Jay and Dean song, although, I mean, yeah, it definitely relates. But here's a historical marker about it. Ahead of you is Dead Man's Curve, the site of many disastrous accidents from the late 1920s through the 1950s. This curve was part of the original Route 66 that was constructed around Towanda in 1927. But this was definitely unfamiliar territory for travelers from Chicago, because the road, you know, it was like, not many people were used to driving on rural roads, I guess. And people drive differently in Chicago, apparently. At least that's what people tell me. But a house that was once located in front of me, like right there, just beyond the apex of the curve, was removed after a semi-trailer truck ran off the road, knocking the house off its foundation. Oh my gosh. Before this event, the homeowners had replaced the front porch on this house numerous times due to the damage from cars and trucks crashing into it. But the amount of travel on the original Route 66 and Dead Man's Curve dropped dramatically with the construction of the 1954 alignment. And then approximately 1/4 mile down the road in this building of Interstate 55 through this area in 1977. But for the travelers of Route 66, Dead Man's Curve will be a significant part of the road's history. And as you drive down the Mother Road, you'll be seeing a lot of these Burma shave signs. These is what's clever advertising. Like you read a sentence as you drive more. Like this one says, around the curve, lickety split, beautiful car, wasn't it? That means, of course, your car got into a bad accident. Yeah. All right, I am in Normal, so I'm just on the northeast side of the area. The water tower is over there for the township of Normal. And just down there is Sprague Super Station, which we'll be visiting. So this is a perfect selfie spot. And then you can also put your phone right here. Wow, they even provide the rubber band. How about that? And this here is one of the most notable places in the Bloomington-Normal area that Route 66 enthusiasts like to stop at. And it's closed. There's a sign on the door. Well, you'll see it, but they are closed January and February. I was here 5 years ago. I was here early last year too, and each time it's always closed. And I understand, I mean, the owners want to be here when tourism season is really in season, but you know, there's people that come from all around just to come here. So I don't have any gift shops that bear, or I don't have any gift shop items that bear this place's name. But oh well. It is what it is, I suppose. This is this was once a service station. It's owned by Dr. Terry Ryburn. Actually, there's some historical markers over there that talk about that. All right, so before I read that, I'm going to go ahead and check this out real quick. A station and a home, Sprague Super Service. Opened in 1930 by William Sprague, this is the only two-story Tudor Revival service station on Route 66. Although the station was built in the depth of the Great Depression, Sprague knew that travelers still needed food, gas, and car repairs. He built his station to blend with the neighborhood, appearing more like a large house than a business. The owners, attendants, and their families lived upstairs. But it was a family business, it says here, and the first floor offered a city service, later called Sitco, had a gas station, restaurant, and a repair garage. But Sprague's was more than just a business. It was a home for the owners, attendants, and their families. By the 1950s, mom-and-pop establishments declined as corporate chains took over the market. Here's one of those passport rubbing stamps for all you those that like to rub against paper. But preserving the legacy, in 2006, Sprague's was purchased by Dr. Terry Ryburn, as I mentioned, who, with her husband Bill Sanders, had restored its 1930 appearance. It is now on the National Register of Historic Places, and it has been inducted into the Route 66 Association of Illinois Hall of Fame. And here's a little cute story about a Route 66 related one. In 1940, Walter Bittner was smitten with Irene, a pretty elevator operator who worked at a bank. Walter made excuses to visit the banks just so he could ride the elevator. Finally, he got the nerve to ask her out. He asked 9 times before she finally accepted a lunch invitation at the Triangle Cafe, as Sprague's restaurant was called then. They married on May 17th, 1941. Walter Bittner, I don't expect anyone to know who he was, but he was the mayor of Bloomington in the 1970s. And this is their 50th anniversary photo. And this seems very appropriate because a lot of these are popping up everywhere. But yeah, if you have an electric car like a Tesla, this is where you can charge it. Cool, eh? Here's what the building looks like facing east. One of these days I'm going to make it in here. These are at several different places in Illinois, all over, all the way from Berwyn, Bolingbrook, Joliet, Dwight, Pontiac. Here, there was not one at the behind the Route 66 Center, only because there was construction, but I hope they restore it. And it goes all. There's also one at the old Chain of Rocks Bridge. But all these had the same map, so yeah, it just says that I'm here. There's also one in downtown Bloomington, which I'll show you. And even though they do have the same back, they also have the different fronts. This one is just highlights local attractions like the Walker Store and Historic Depot, the Funk's Maple Grove, the McLean County Museum of History, which was once the McLean County Courthouse, the David Davis Museum, and of course this place right here. And it also shows the alignments. So if you want to do the original 1926 route, which is this right here, you can do that. Or if you just want to do the later route, just bypass the whole city. But you just got to kind of follow the signs, make sure that they're there too. And then basically it just talks about the history of the highway in the Bloomington-Normal area. When Route 66 was born, businesses sprang up to serve the needs of new motorists. Early filling stations were simply gas pumps outside a store. Later, canopy roofs were added over the pumps. Eye-catching architecture in the 1930s attracted growing numbers of cross-country travelers with gas, mechanical service, maps, and home-cooked food. So, just a little showing about, again, this talks about Sprague Super Service, but it also talks about oil corporations. Stride's gas station, which was there in the early 1950s here in Bloomington. It was a streamlined Spanish architectural style. And then I'm going to show you this building. Well, it doesn't exist no more. It's now Monical's Pizza, the first Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, most of you know, it's a Midwestern chain. It's been expanding. And with every wayside exhibit, yeah, it's not going to play. That's okay. It usually plays that Get Your Kicks on Route 66 song. And while you're here, you also got to check out these antique gas pumps. You can't take these out. Yeah, they're chained. Still, though, really cool. Very retro looking. Now I'm at the site where Steak and Shake used to be. The first Steak and Shake, that is. It is now Monical's Pizza restaurant. I did not know when it was torn down or when this place moved in. Here, let me get you to the front of it. But yes, this is the starting point of what became a Midwest American empire. There are more than 500 stores. However, a lot of them have shut down over the years. I mean, for many different reasons. But Steak and Shake has been continuously rebranding itself, and I'm going to admit, a lot of the social media posts have been kind of freaking me out lately. Like, they're overly advertising the beef tallow for fries, which I guess is a good thing. And Bitcoin and all this other stuff. But yeah, Steak and Shake was right here, the first one. All right, now we're gonna go a little bit that way downtown. Well, that's a one-way street, but I gotta go that way down there, so come join me. And now we are in downtown Bloomington. It's really quiet today. There's a lot of businesses. There's also a lot of Abraham Lincoln stuff to check out, and this museum, the Visitor Center, which celebrates the history of Bloomington-Normal area. Here's the McLean County Courthouse. This is actually the third one that was built on this spot. And of course, it's got a statue of Lincoln. I don't know who put that shawl there, but hey, it adds a little character to it, right? This is also a museum and entrance. Now, I was lucky on the day that I came. It was on President's Day 2026, and I got in for free. I don't know how much they normally charge for admission, but definitely check it out if you got extra time. Okay, and there's also a marker here, Lincoln's Courthouse from 1837 to 1860. Abraham Lincoln practiced law in the courthouse in this site. Its front wall is marked by the brass bar below. Yeah, here it is right here. Cool. Well, I'm in jail again. Busted. Help! And just outside the courthouse, or the museum, is this plaque, and I did not know this, but this was where the first brick pavement in the United States, innovation to modern highways. It was installed in 1877. This is the original brick This plaque set in original paving brick and presented to the city of Bloomington on May 11th, 1968. Oh, very cool. And on the northeast corner of the courthouse square is another one of these experience hubs, but it is the same one as the one that we saw at the Ryburn place, or the Ryburn service station, whatever you want to call it. Let me see. No, it doesn't play it. Yeah, this was the newest one that was been installed. It's been around, it's been here since, I want to say, either 2017 through 2019, sometime in that time frame. But like I said, yeah, it's the same one as we saw at the Ryburn place, which was right here. And this is where I am right here. Now, if you notice, yeah, Route 66 does kind of split up, but it also shares, I forgot about this, but it also shares the same road as US Highway 51, which is one of the most major highways in America, you know, that's still around. Goes from New Orleans all the way up to, I think, northern Wisconsin. But yeah, these are one-way streets. One-way streets are, I admit, they're kind of annoying, but yeah, what can I do, right? Now this one talks about Abraham Lincoln. And what does Lincoln and Route 66 have in common? Railroads. He was an attorney on the 8th Judicial Circuit, and Lincoln often represented railroad companies, including what would have become the Chicago and Alton. The original Route 66 alignment in Illinois closely followed the C&A tracks, but now it's Amtrak. And I've done it a couple times to Chicago, and it's pretty cool. And lastly, here's this mural. You can't really see it, but yeah, it starts right there, Route 66. Got 1950s Elvis wannabe dude, teen idol. Actually, here's a nice, better view of it. How we all want to remember Route 66 for generations to come. All right, I am Jason. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Historically Marked. Let's hop back on the Mother Road and check out some more Illinois Route 66 communities. All right, thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned some. Hope you visit these places. I'm Jason signing off.